will sideline him for a minimum of 3 months. Bengal fans are calling for Shedeur Sanders after the Bengals search for another quarterback.
Be December 15th and very well could be into the new year before he's ready again. Let's see if the Bengals and Jake Browning, their new quarterback, can keep them afloat until then. But Joe Burrow went down yesterday. You knew it had to be serious. He's going to have surgery as soon as the swelling in that toe goes down, and he's going to be sidelined for a minimum of 3 months. The Bengals already have been calling around to add another quarterback. That's from a depth standpoint. But the fact of the matter is Jake Browning will be the guy. He is expected to be the guy. And Joe Burrow has taken so much punishment there.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Hold up. This isn't a trade rumor. This isn't some clickbait headline floating around NFL Twitter. This right here is a declaration of war inside the AFC North. When the Bengals reportedly dropped a $200 million offer to prize Shedeur Sanders out of Cleveland, they didn't just cross a line. They burned it down. You could feel the energy shift. One moment, it's a regular Thursday in the NFL world. Another injury headline, another next man up situation. And then boom, Schefter tweets, Joe Burrow's out for months, the Bengals season suddenly hanging by a thread. And before anyone could even finish reading the injury update, Cincinnati was already calling Cleveland's doorstep. That's not football business. That's a power move. That's a message. And let's be real, this kind of move doesn't happen often. The last time a team pulled something this bold, we were talking about Brett Favre switching sides in the NFC North, walking straight into Minnesota purple just to prove a point. Or when the Broncos made that desperate all-in pitch to land Peyton Manning, reshaping the entire AFC overnight. But this is different, because this is division blood. The Bengals and the Browns share the same Ohio soil, same fans, same highways, same hatred, and Cincinnati just tried to rob Cleveland in broad daylight. Imagine Jimmy Haslam hearing that phone buzz, the notification. Bengals inquire about Shedeur Sanders. The man probably dropped his coffee. For the Browns, Shedeur isn't just a quarterback, he's the plan, the future, the fresh start that was finally supposed to rewrite 2 decades of heartbreak. And then here come the Bengals, sliding in with a number so outrageous, it sounds like a video game glitch. $200 million, not for a free agent, not for a veteran, for a rookie. And that's when every Browns fan knew, this isn't just about replacing Joe Burrow. This is about sending a message. Cincinnati refuses to bow down. You can feel it in every fan forum, every sports radio show, every heated bar conversation from Cleveland to Columbus. This feels personal. The Bengals didn't go shopping for a backup. They went hunting for Cleveland's heartbeat. And for Jimmy Haslam, that's the ultimate slap in the face. But here's the twist nobody wants to admit. Deep down, Bengals fans love it. They love the chaos. They love the audacity. Because this is what desperate, dangerous teams do when their window starts closing. When they realize their franchise quarterback has been taking hits like a crash test dummy for 4 straight years and the clock is ticking. This is survival instinct disguised as arrogance. You can almost picture that front office meeting, lights dim, silence heavy, and someone finally says it out loud. What if we go get Shedeur Sanders? And once that question leaves the room, there's no putting it back. This isn't a rumor. This isn't just a headline. This is a shot fired across the entire AFC North. The Bengals have drawn first blood, and whether Cleveland likes it or not, the war has begun. Because if this deal ever goes through, it's not just a trade, it's a takeover. I remember the exact feeling when Burrow limped off, how the whole stadium exhaled at the same time, and then said nothing at all. Helmets tilted down, trainers moving with urgency that tells you what the press release won't. That's not just an injury, that's a franchise's pulse skipping a beat, and the Bengals knew it. You could see it in the sideline faces, wide receivers staring into space, linemen stuck between anger and prayer. This is the human part before the spreadsheets and cap numbers kick in. But once you get into the business, it gets brutal fast. Billions in franchise value. A Super Bowl window that doesn't stay open just because you wish it would. Every hit on Burrow has been a withdrawal from a bank account that doesn't refill, and Cincinnati felt the balance drop to red. That's why the phone started ringing. Look, Jake Browning is a pro, and I'll respect any guy who fights for a jersey. But this isn't about respect. This is about reality. You can't ask Browning to be what he isn't. Arm talent that scares safeties, processing speed that punishes disguise rotations, control at the line that flips a bad look into a touchdown. Against playoff defenses, that's the difference between nice drive and season over. We saw it whenever the offense got stuck in quicksand. The play sheet shrinks, the windows close, and suddenly your all-pro receivers are running wind sprints for cardio. That's why the Shedeur talk caught fire. Quick reads, calm feet, deep ball precision without panic. He lives in that 18-22-yard window where coordinators either get promoted or fired. With Jamar Chase, it means the glance route becomes a 50-yard sprint once the safety flinches. With T. Higgins, it means the back shoulder isn't a prayer, it's a call. And in Zach Taylor's system, where you can marry tempo to shot plays, a quarterback who will actually rip it when the leverage screams now changes the entire math on Sunday. Don't kid yourself. This wasn't just a front office brainstorm. You could feel it online in real time. Bengals fans weren't mourning, they were plotting. If Joe's out, don't waste Chase's prime. Don't waste this roster. Go get someone who keeps the ceiling where it belongs. That's not cruelty toward Browning. That's the cold, competitive heartbeat of a locker room in a city that has tasted January and refuses to go back to early couch season. The NFL doesn't hand out sympathy banners. It hands out wins to teams that refuse to blink. And that's why the $200 million headline makes twisted sense. Not as a flex, as a flare gun. It's the front office screaming to the rest of the league, we are not surrendering this window. Think about the incentives. Keep the locker room believing, keep Chase engaged, keep the scheme honest, keep the fan base out of the doom spiral. Money is the only lever you can pull in November that actually moves the field in December. You don't offer a number like that for comfort. You offer it to stop the bleeding, to buy time, to scare everyone else off your season. So yeah, it reads like desperation. That's because it is. Controlled panic, channeled into a single aggressive idea. Stabilize the offense or watch the year evaporate. Cincinnati isn't reaching for a fairy tale. They're grabbing for air before the water goes over their head. And if that hand lands on Shedeur, the current shifts instantly. The real question now isn't why the Bengals did it. It's what Cleveland does next, and whether Jimmy Haslam can stomach a rival, testing his backbone in front of the whole division. For Cleveland, this one hurts different. Not just because it's a rival, not just because it's Cincinnati. It's because this time, the Browns actually thought they got it right. Jimmy Haslam finally had peace in that front office. For once, there wasn't a quarterback controversy. There wasn't a who's next headline. They had their guy. Shedeur Sanders, young, sharp, composed beyond his years, the quarterback who was supposed to erase 2 decades of bad memories. The one who made fans believe they could finally stop watching old Bernie Kosar highlights just to feel something again. And then out of nowhere, boom, their division rival kicks the door in, waving a $200 million offer like it's monopoly money, trying to take the one thing Cleveland finally got right. It's not just shocking, it's humiliating. You can almost picture Haslam sitting in his office, blindsided. That phone call comes through, the whispers start, and for a few seconds, it's like the air gets sucked out of the building. Because this isn't a rebuild problem or a salary cap issue. It's a respect issue. When another team in your division feels bold enough to come for your franchise quarterback before he's even unpacked his locker, that's not business. That's disrespect at a molecular level. And for Browns fans, this is trauma. This fan base has been through quarterback purgatory, from Tim Couch to Brandon Weeden, from Baker Mayfield's hope to Deshaun Watson's drama. Every name that's come and gone has carried a different flavor of disappointment. Shedeur was the first time the city could collectively exhale. He represented a clean slate, not a savior, but a chance to finally have stability under center. So when news breaks that the Bengals are trying to snatch him up, it doesn't just sting. It reopens every old wound that Cleveland thought had finally healed. And let's be honest, losing Shedeur wouldn't just hurt the depth chart. It would fracture everything this team's been building. The locker room chemistry, gone. The trust between players and front office, shot. The faith of the fan base, on life support. You can't sell hope twice in Cleveland. Not after what this city has been through. That's what Haslam is really fighting for right now. Not just to keep his quarterback, to keep his credibility. The Browns can't afford to be the punchline again. They can't afford to watch another homegrown face of the franchise get lured away while the rest of the division laughs. Because if that happens, the message is clear. Cleveland's still the kid brother of the AFC North, no matter how much talent they stack. And that's why this moment feels like more than football. It's identity, it's pride, it's the city's belief in itself hanging by a thread. So yeah, Jimmy Haslam's furious. And he should be, because this isn't just a fight for Shedeur Sanders. It's a fight for respect. For once, the Browns aren't just defending a roster spot, they're defending their name. You can call it confidence, you can call it swagger, but for Shedeur Sanders, it's something deeper. It's DNA. That prime mentality that was built, not borrowed. Because while the league still sees him as Deion's son, anyone who's been watching closely knows Shedeur's been writing his own story from day one. Go back to Colorado. Cameras everywhere. Expectations through the roof. Haters waiting for him to fail. Every throw, every press conference, every glance at the scoreboard was judged like a referendum on the Sanders name. And through all of it, Shedeur didn't flinch, didn't fold, didn't play for clicks. He played for respect. He stood in that pocket behind a line that leaked worse than a broken faucet, took hit after hit, and still dropped dimes like it was practice. That's poise you can't coach. That's the part that made NFL scouts stop scrolling and start paying attention. See, Shedeur doesn't just play quarterback. He commands the field. There's a calmness to him that feels almost unshakable even when chaos is swirling. It's not the loud kind of leadership. It's not chest pounding or trash talking. It's the kind where teammates start playing better just because they trust you won't panic. You see that and you realize, this kid didn't just inherit his father's fame, he inherited his focus. And that's what makes him dangerous. Every time the media tried to box him in, he's just a college star. He hasn't faced real NFL pressure. He's riding his dad's name. Shedeur turned the volume down and let his play do the talking. Over 3,200 yards. Nearly 70% completion. Ice in his veins every single fourth quarter. He doesn't chase validation. He earns it. What's wild is how both fan bases, Cleveland and Cincinnati, see him through completely different lenses, yet they're both right. For Cleveland, Shedeur represents patience, a rebuild, a long-term answer. The franchise quarterback who grows with the team, learns the system, becomes the face of a city that's craved consistency for decades. For Cincinnati, he represents immediacy. Plug him in, unleash the weapons, and don't waste another prime year of Jamar Chase. Both teams are looking at the same player and seeing their salvation. But beneath the headlines, beneath the $200 million talk, you get the feeling Shedeur isn't chasing the money. He's chasing legacy. You can tell by the way he carries himself. Steady eyes, clean demeanor, never caught up in social media drama. This isn't a kid who got lucky. This is a man who's been preparing for pressure his whole life. So yeah, both franchises want him. They see a future built around that calm fire, that surgical accuracy, that refusal to blink. But here's the real question. Is Shedeur Sanders ready to carry a contender like Cincinnati or build one from scratch in Cleveland? Because either way, someone's getting a quarterback who was born for this moment. And the rest of the league? They're just now realizing prime time isn't just a legacy, it's a blueprint. At some point, every great quarterback faces a crossroads. The moment where talent meets legacy and money meets meaning. For Shedeur Sanders, that moment might be right now, because this isn't just about a number on a contract. It's about power, it's about legacy, it's about deciding which story gets written into AFC North history, and whose jersey defines the next decade of football. Let's be real. Two paths sit in front of him, and both are massive. On one side, Cleveland, a city starving for a savior, a fan base that's been kicked down for 20 years and still shows up in the snow screaming for hope. If Shedeur stays, If he plants his flag in that brown and orange soil, he becomes something bigger than a quarterback. He becomes the man who finally rewrote the curse, the one who made the dog pound believe again. Imagine the scene, AFC Championship night, the city trembling, the crowd chanting his name. If he brings a title to Cleveland, they'll build him a statue before he turns 30. But then there's the other path, the one glowing in Bengal, orange and black. Cincinnati, a team that's ready right now. Weapons, infrastructure, and a window that's still cracked open. The offer's wild, but it's not just cash. It's control. They're saying, we trust you to step into Joe Burrow's shoes and keep the machine running. That's not just belief. That's anointing a new franchise face. Walking into that locker room would mean instant spotlight, instant pressure, and maybe instant success. Because in that system, with Chase and Higgins running routes, Shedeur wouldn't just survive, he could dominate. And that's what makes this situation so fascinating. Because whichever way he turns, he's rewriting history for someone. Either he redeems a broken franchise or he reloads a contender. There's no middle ground here. This is legacy territory. But here's what no one's talking about. Shedeur holds all the cards now. Not Jimmy Haslam, not Mike Brown, not the media, him. He's the rare rookie who somehow became the centerpiece of a billion-dollar tug-of-war. And the way he handles it will define how players move in this new era. The NFL isn't just about ownership power anymore. It's about quarterback leverage. Look at Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar. They don't wait to be told what they're worth. They set the market. And now Shedeur, before his first real playoff snap, is already part of that conversation. So what's it going to be? Legacy or loyalty? Does he build Cleveland into something lasting? Or take the fast lane to a Lombardi chase in Cincinnati? I'll tell you this much. Whichever path he picks, it'll shake the AFC North to its core. Because this isn't just a contract dispute. This is a shift in power. For the first time in a long time, it's not the teams holding the leverage, it's the player. And I'll say it now. Shedeur Sanders isn't just playing for a franchise anymore. He's playing for his era. Stay locked in, because this story, it's only getting started.